Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Sports Card Lessons Podcast with me, your host, Ken. I'm a retired teacher documenting my hobby journey here on the pod, finding teachable moments to share with all of you along the way. Don't forget to hit me up on social media on Instagram at sportscard_lessons. Hit the follow button. And you can also find me on YouTube by searching Sports Card Lessons. If you like what you hear, please like, subscribe, and most importantly, tell a friend and spread the word. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another Monday episode. How is everybody doing? Hope you had a great weekend. I am just coming off the East Coast National, and that's basically the whole episode today is just going to be talking about that, breaking it down, things I saw, things I learned, what I did, any deals I made. We're going to get to it today. But first, I just want to shout out to all the people I saw this weekend, dealers, attendees, saw a ton of people. I'm afraid I didn't, I'm going to miss somebody, so I'm not going to list names. I just want to give everybody that I saw this weekend and that came by to see me, just give them a huge shout out. It was definitely good to see some familiar faces that I haven't seen in a while. Some I haven't seen since the spring, since the New York City Laz's New York City show. So it's good to see some people and start catching up. East Coast National definitely wasn't what I was expecting. Coming off of National, which was just a month ago, maybe even just a little less than a month ago. The crowds at National, um, this show just had buzz that I was expecting kind of the same thing there, and it definitely wasn't. It wasn't what I was expecting, and especially after hearing the stories of the White Plains show. So I'd never been to the White Plains show, but I know last year, my good friend Rob, sports card therapist, was at that show. Uh, I was talking to him on the phone from that show. After that show, just what an amazing crowded show it was. So just in my mind, that's what I was expecting this year at this show. And it definitely was not the show I was expecting. Uh, Friday was dealer setup, so I was up early. Not a bad ride down there, like an hour 40 minutes. I got up early. I wanted to beat miss the morning rush hour traffic, but beat any afternoon traffic. So I got down there early. It was a nice setup. They had a nice ramp. It was at a community college, so it was the area was huge that we were setting up in. Um, it was a nice, easy move in, back down the ramp, unload your stuff. Uh, the place was set up in squares, and there were 8 foot table per squares. Um, Big area. The aisles were big. Definitely a lot of room there. Um, Friday was a sneak peek from 1 to 7. It was a $25 admission. Uh, and it was a sauna in there. It was so hot on Friday. That was the complaint of the day. Just I mean, obviously while you're rolling your stuff in and setting your stuff up, I mean, I was sweating. But later in the day when everything was done and I was just sitting in my chair, I was sweating. That's how hot it was in there. And that was the complaint of the day. And they said, tomorrow it's going to be better. And it was. I'll get to that when we hit Saturday. It was definitely a little better, but Friday was so hot. Um, as far as the 1 to 7, most of the people coming to the tables were dealers. Um, the chatter was everyone saying that, come 5:30, between 5:30 and 7, it's really going to get busy. Like a lot of people are going to come in, and that never happened. That never happened. It stayed like, again, it was mostly deal. I had some sales. There were some people, because you can tell the lanyards, the dealers are wearing the lanyards, and you could tell who were the attendees and the dealers, and I definitely made some sales on Friday, but certainly wasn't busy. I probably could have just waited till Saturday and went in Saturday morning and set up. Although they didn't give Saturday people much time to set up. You had an hour to set up before the show, where on Friday we got in there you could get in there, I guess, at 7 in the morning. I ended up getting there about 9:30. So it was just a nice, slow setup. But I left right at 7, home by 9, a little more traffic coming home, and then I was back at it again. Now, Saturday morning, we thought the doors were opening at 7. So I got there at 7:30 Saturday morning, and the doors actually didn't open till 8, and the show started at 9. But on Saturday, what was interesting was when I pulled in, I just expected to go the same way I did the day before, and all these signs pointing you in a new direction. And I'm like, what is this? Where are we going now? So we had to drive all the way around to the back side of the building, and that's where it was for dealer entrance and dealer setup. And on the backside of this building, wasn't even paved. It was just all gravel. And these poor guys that were coming in to set up Saturday morning, like, you couldn't roll your cart, and it was like a steep hill up to the door. You couldn't park your car and set up your cart and roll it in. You literally had to back all the way up to somewhere up at the top and then unload your stuff onto your cart. But it had to be like right at the door. And the people who came in early Saturday just left their cars there. So anyone that came later, you were literally, I watched people carry their stuff from the bottom of the hill up to the top and then put it on a cart inside the door and then roll it in. It definitely did not think about the dealers come Saturday when they switched everybody to the back side of the building. It was a little bit of a nightmare if you were trying to set up on Saturday, and if you showed up at 8:15 or 8:30, because at that point, it was so crowded there for people trying to get their stuff in. I was watching people. It was well after 9 o'clock, moving their stuff in, and I kind of felt bad considering the day before we had this beautiful ramp that was paved on the other side of the building that you can unload your car from a good distance away and roll it in. Um, so yeah, it was a little bit of a nightmare for those people coming in to set up Saturday morning. So Saturday was a $15 admission versus the 25 on Friday. And Saturday was definitely cooler. It was warm in there, but it was cooler. So what they realized on Saturday, I'm sure they had other things going on, but they opened the doors up too, and they let the breeze from both sides of the building blow through. Where on Friday they had all the doors closed, and um, people were saying there was no air conditioning, and then somebody was saying, well, it was broken and they're fixing it. It never really got cool in there, so I'm really not sure if there was air conditioning or maybe some ventilation system or some fans they put on. It was definitely a little cooler on. It wasn't cool like air conditioning, and the weather's 90 degrees outside, but it was definitely a little bit cooler on Saturday. I waited all day for the show to get busy. And it was one of those things, and I talk about, and I always go back to last shows, and I love last shows. I mean, I just, they're busy. You're going to have a rush, and a couple of times with a last show where we already in the morning, and like it didn't get going, like it didn't get busy, and you're like, oh no, like I hope it's not going to be like this all day. I mean, I hope people are coming to the show, and then before you know it, you're so busy, realize hours have gone by, you haven't even sat down. That wasn't the case here. This here was a slow day. I'm going to say slow with patches of steady, right? So there, you would have some people coming through, and you'd be talking to some people, maybe, have 3, 4, or 5 different customers come around to the table, and then you would have a chance to sit down for maybe 10 minutes, right? And then, maybe another pocket of people would, come up, and then you'd stand back up, and it definitely, it never got really busy. It never got really busy on Saturday. Um, but things I did notice I mean, between Friday and Saturday, I was only there the 2 days because I had a lot of time to walk around, get up, nobody at the table, take a walk around. I could go, do a little shopping, but keep an eye on if somebody did come by my table. So things I noticed, dealers were priced high. everywhere. Every deal. There wasn't one dealer that wasn't priced high. Um, I knew from walking around on Friday and comparing prices of my stuff, things that I had in my case to what other dealers, and I knew what my prices were. I knew what my prices were on most of my stuff, and then going and seeing what the other dealers had. I knew at that point I was probably going to have a pretty good weekend of sales. If the cars I had in my case were the cars people were looking for, I was definitely going to be the lowest price. I'd have been the right price. A lot of times the dealers, and I don't know, I almost want to say that there are a lot of people were just annoyed because they were so hot, especially Friday. I just think people were just uncomfortably hot on Friday, and they were just annoyed. And I don't blame them because I was a little annoyed too. But I just noticed that, when you walked up and they knew I was another dealer. I mean, I had the lanyard around, and I'd say, "Hey, what's your best price?" And they would come out and say, "This is the price, rock bottom." Like, they were so quick to give a to say, say if something comps at $1,000 and they had it in their case for $1,500, and I asked, "What's the best you can do on that?" They'd say, "13's the best. I can't go any lower." And that was it. That was the end of the negotiation. The conversation is like, if you wanted it, you were paying 1,300, you're gonna pay $300 over comps, or you just didn't get it. Um, so that's kind of what I felt. They were at their rock bottom price very quickly. There wasn't gonna be a lot of negotiation going on, and there wasn't a lot of people there. It wasn't like it was so crowded that, people were just like, "Look, I'm just gonna give you this price because I'm doing so much other stuff." Uh, and I think being so warm in there just kinda made it a strange day, especially on Friday. In my opinion, vintage baseball, I mean, was really popular. Um, I noticed that a lot of people were looking for vintage baseball. I know on Saturday when Rob, sports card therapist, was with me, he had vintage stuff in his case. A lot of people coming looking, and Ben, who was on the other side of me, he had some vintage baseball in there. Like, a lot of people were there talking. Obviously I don't have any, so that conversation I wasn't part of on either side of me. But I did notice, just walking throughout the room, there was a lot of vintage there, and there was a lot of talk about vintage. There's just seems to be a lot of hype about vintage baseball right now. And that's not my lane, so I don't know that much about it, but um, I could just tell that uh, definitely the vintage stuff. I mean, a lot of people were looking for football. A lot of people were looking for baseball. They came up specifically asking for particular players. That they were looking for in either sport. And, Saturday they had autographs going on too, and the way the room was set up, it was a very, very big room. They had the autographs all the way on the other side, and, I don't know how many of the people actually walked the room versus I've watched people walk by empty-handed and come back out of that area, with pictures that were autographed and stuff, and kinda just walked out the door. I don't think they spent much time, you know, going through the dealer tables too that came for the autographs. What else? Dollar boxes, discount boxes, still very popular. I think they're always gonna be popular. Um, and I noticed people buying up people's discount boxes, and that did happen to yeah, Rob, sports car therapist right next to me. I mean, literally just sold all his discount boxes. I mean, not just one or two. I mean, look, the whole box, right? And I watched that happen to two or three other people. I watched people walking by with three or four, boxes of slabs that they literally just bought off of somebody's table. So that seems to be becoming a thing now too. But definitely and my dollar boxes, $1 and $2 boxes. Um, Mostly the football players, the football cards, they were pretty popular. I sold a bunch out of there, and it's funny because I have a box of wrestling too that I have $1 and $2 cards out of that. The AEW, the first edition cards, which have always been very popular, and every show I could go to, I could usually sell maybe 30 or 40 of those cards. I noticed since I had that box at National, and I had that box, and I haven't hadn't I sold one card out of that box, whether it was the uh, just the regular uh, wrestling cards or the AEW. But in my case, I had wrestling, in the one touches, the numbered and autographed cards, the Alexa Bliss, things like that. I was selling those, and I was selling tennis too, which I hadn't. I sold some cards at National. We talked about it here on the pod. I sold, a decent amount of tennis cards in one day that I wasn't set up at National, but tennis had not been popular at all, and I sold some tennis cards this week, and I had an extra room. I had purchased a new case, so I actually had 3 cases. So instead of putting those tennis cards and the wrestling cards in boxes, I threw them in the case, and I was selling some of those cards too. So I was pretty happy about that, just trying to move those. But the dollar and discount box is still popular. Um, One thing I noticed, and I guess I've done this too, and I've thought this out, but it's really becoming something that I'm noticing a lot now, is that people are showing up with a backpack and a case, like a Zion case or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, are you buying?" "Of course I am. Let me see what you have." And you start going through, and it's just all crap. I mean, just crap. And when I start noticing the crap cards in there, then somebody with say, at one point, like people are like, "Oh, well, would you trade?" And then they're looking at my case, my higher end case, and then they take off the backpack. Now they're pulling out better cards out of the back. Like they don't even want people to see these cards unless they're willing to, they're looking to, move them for a bigger card, you know, so it's funny. So people are coming up to me and say, "Are you buying?" I said, "Yeah, I probably want to buy what's in the backpack more than what's in the case." And they start smiling at me. It's like I know what's going on at this point. It's like I don't want to buy your crap. You could certainly show me your crap, but I'm not going to buy it. I don't want to waste our time. I said I'm looking for cards that I can put in this case right here, and I'm pointing out my case that those cards in that case are anywhere from 500 to $5,000. I mean, those are the cards I'm looking for. These 2 cases here that have cards that are, from $50 to 150 or $200, those aren't the cards I'm looking for. And it just I'm not telling them that to be mean. I don't want to waste anybody's time. I just want them to know what I'm looking for, what I'm interested in buying. And then anything else unusual, if they have something unusual, I definitely take a look at it. Uh, so overall, for me, I mean, the show was great. I had my 2-day show, as far as sales, I mean, they were great for me. It was a great show. I would list that show for me if I based it solely on my sales. It was a great show. I had a lot of downtime between sales. I did a lot of walking around, trying to find things. Um, to buy because by Saturday, midday, I was very cash heavy, but really couldn't find things to buy. Uh, I talked about the XRC cards. I love those XRC cards. I walked the room. There was no quarterback XRCs, the Herbert, the Burrow, Mahomes, these 3 I'm looking for. Um, and I'm really looking for the PSA 10s. I did find one Burrow 9.5. And it's interesting. Comps are just such a funny thing, right? Uh, and especially on a specific card. So when I did see the Burrow 9.5 and I looked up comps, I looked up on an alt said, "Oh, the card's worth around $1,090." Um, and then I go to, recent sales, and then one sold for, I think $1,100, and then one sold for, um, actually, I should say the last one that sold, which sold on the Friday and Saturday, I was looking at the comp. So on Friday, one sold for $610 on eBay, right? And then the day before that, one sold for like $1,090 and 1,000 whatever, maybe 1,100, whatever. But it's just funny where I mean, I wish I could have had that $610 one, right? And then I looked back like within a week, and another one had sold for maybe like $700 or $690 or something. And then you really don't know really what to believe. So then I said to the dealer, I said, and he had a $1,400 price tag on it. I said, "Hey, what's the best you can do in this?" And he pulled out his phone and he said, "Well, the last comp on it is 12 something." And I said, "12 something?" I said, I think, isn't it 610?" And his eyes got big, like he's ready to argue with me. I said, I'm not, I don't expect it to get it from 610, but if you're going to tell me something, just tell me the truth, right? I mean, I'm looking at the same thing you're looking at. And he says, yeah. He goes, that's a lie. I mean, that can't even be true. And I said, yeah, I wish I could have got it at that. I said, but what are you looking at? And he says to me, well, what do you think? And I said, I'm thinking maybe, 900 to 1,000. And he says, well, I'm thinking more like 12 to 1,300. And I said, okay, we're not close. And he said, thanks for stopping by. And he just turned and walked. There was no other conversation happening over that card. But that was the only XRC quarterback uh, I saw in the room. I walked that room for 2 days, and I had mine in my case. My Josh Allen by far was the most popular. Everybody that came by asked the price on it, and I told them I'm high. I mean, I'm high on the card. And I'm really not looking to move it. It's one of those things that I've got him, I've got Trevor Lawrence and Mac Jones are all PSA 10s, right? I said, I'm really not looking to move these cards. I like these cards. They're kind of my PC, but I'll overprice them. I mean, I'm learning from the people around me that said, don't leave those cards home. Overprice them and put them in your case, or tell people I'm high on it and put it in your case. You never know what else is going to show up. Somebody may show up and say, hey, I have the Josh Allen tie dye, let's make a deal. You never know when you can move that card up. So I bring those cards with me now and I tell them I'm high, but everybody was stopping and asking about the XRCs and saying, I literally haven't seen any in the room this weekend. I was thinking, I'm always going to keep my eye out for them, right? But I'm thinking probably right now is not the best time to buy those cards in this window now, this August, uh, September, even October. I mean, I didn't buy any football this weekend, and I didn't, just because I learned from last year, and I know it was very early in what I was doing. But I learned from last year that I started buying all these cards in August and September. And, after the first week or the second week in the NFL, those prices they were all down. I mean, everything that I purchased, I was negative in all those cards. So I didn't feel this was the best time to buy any football. My football window has closed, right? If there was something that I wanted for my PC, if I could find an XRC that is the price is right, I would certainly jump on it. And it's funny, every time I mention my PC and what we're talking about here, I had a conversation with John from Behind the Diamond talking about, my PC. He says, really, what is my PC? You asked me what my PC is. I told you what it is, but it's really not, if the price is right, everything's for sale. Right. And I guess that's true. He says, I love this card. I would never want to part with this card, but if you're offering me twice as much as it's worth, you want to give me, 100% over, sold. I'm going to sell the card. And most people will do that. And I understand that, and I probably feel kind of the same way on that, because you could, for some cards you can replace, some cards you can't replace, but some cards you could replace. And a card that's replaceable, I couldn't see somebody offering me huge comps over that. So like on you know, uh, there's plenty of these XRC PSA 10s out there. I don't think anyone, if I can price my card high, I don't think anybody's going to pay way up on a card that they could probably just go to eBay and buy, right? So I guess if I put it in my case, it makes conversation, it gets people to stop, right? And we can talk and go from there. Uh, I'm thinking on those, maybe by the time Hofstra comes, I'll start seriously considering, which is in October. I'll see where the prices are at there. And if they're still high there, who knows? I may even wait till the spring to pick up some higher end stuff that I'm looking for. But, if the price is really right on anything, I don't mind jumping into it. And we don't know. I mean, we have no idea what the football season is going to be, right? We don't know in the first few weeks who's going to be shining out there. Because we know somebody is. We know somebody, their prices are going to go up because, it happens with everybody every year, right? About last year, there was a few people, but Mac Jones was out of control last year, right? I don't see, unless he, comes out of the, with the first game, doing some great things. I'm not sure who it is. It could be Trevor Lawrence, right? The new team, new coach, or not a new team, but a new coach and new playbook, right? May and some new players over there and some new people calling the plays. I mean, all of a sudden he could be great. So who knows? We have no idea. So that's why I think I have enough cards in my case. I have enough cards for my upcoming shows to fill my cases and to see where the, you know, what where the prices are going on some of these players, and just try to be a little smarter this year and not jump in too much. I did buy two cards, two cards this weekend, and they were both Pop Century cards, believe it or not. Someone which I have a few cards that I've just sent off to PSA that I picked up, and I've had them in my case, and I had them high. They were Mike Tyson cards, and I had them priced high because I really wasn't sure if I wanted to sell them or not. And then I just decided, you know what, I'm going to send them. About a week or two ago, I decided I'm going to send them off to PSA and have them graded, because I mean, I know they're not going to come back tens, but they're definitely nice cards. But I did pick up another Mike Tyson card. It's a 2022 Leaf Pop Century Signatures. It's the Tiger print 2 of 3. And if you're on YouTube, I am holding it up. Nice autograph card. So I was excited about that. I got a really good price on that. And I also picked up another 2022 Pop Century Signatures Bob Odenkirk, purple 6 of 15. And if you're not sure who that is, he's Saul Goodman on Better Call Saul and from Breaking Bad. And I think before that, he was a writer on Saturday Night Live. So just somebody I like this guy. So, and I kind of like these Pop Century cards. And who knows, maybe low key I'll start grabbing a few of those. I mean, they've got so many different people in there, and they kind of pull on those strings a little bit, right? Of a show that you really love, like the Bob Odenkirk. I mean, I love Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. So I was like, yeah, I would definitely like that card. And other shows that I've seen throughout the years, I'm starting to see some people in some movies and things like that. So I think I might create a little small PC of those as well. As for my sales, what we talked about last week, putting everything at or just above comps, right? Kind of my new sales techniques here, just trying to make everything easier, not making it so hard to go to a show and really have to work to make sales. That buying cards below comps, and I know it sounds obvious, but this was the first time people at the show just walked up. I have everything in my cases are priced. There's prices on everything. They walked up, they saw the price, they pulled their phone out, they look at something. And a lot of times what used to happen is they'd walk away. I mean, sometimes we'd never have a conversation and we'd walk away. And then I could see them look back at the card and look back at their phone, thinking to themselves, wow, this is priced really well. Right. And they always ask the same thing, and I don't blame them. They say, hey, can you do any better? And I say, hey, that card is right at comps. And on some of them, if I put it up $25 or $30 or $40, I could say, you know what, I know that card right now is like $30 or $40 over comps. We could split the difference type of thing if you want, take 20 off or 15 off or something like that. And they were fine. They were happy. Perfect. perfect. And they're buying the card saying, yeah, it was a great price, and my friend Rob, sports card therapist, he's funny about, he'll come over when I make a sale and he'll, over my shoulder, he'll say, oh, that is a great card. And he says to me, you got to make the people feel good about your, and I said, they already feel good. I mean, the price was right. They knew the price was right. They knew they were getting a great card, and they're getting a great card at a great price. I mean, the whole business plan works. I mean, and it's easy. And a couple people I sold cards to that walked away, came back an hour later, looking back in the case again, looking because they went off the, a lot of times when people go to these shows, and I know I've been there myself. Like I say, I show up with, whether you're showing up with $500 or $5,000, right? It doesn't matter what your budget is, and you show up with that money. Like you come to a card show. I mean, you're excited. You wanna spend the money, right? You want to buy some things, and sometimes you get discouraged if you walk around and you're looking for things and things are so overpriced, and you're like, do I really want to spend that much over on an item, right? So I think what happened a couple of times is people walked around and they ended up back at my table because they knew my prices were fair. They were very fair. They were right at comps, and came back, and a couple of them bought a second card, and one of them said, your prices are great. Like, whatever you're doing, keep doing it because your prices are much better than anyone else I've seen in here." So it kind of made me feel good. Um, I sold my 2000 Brady Bowman, my PSA 8. I had that listed for 1400. Last comp on that, last sale on eBay was 1138, and I know Alt had it at 1198. And everyone else in the room, everyone I walked and I saw Brady, this same card, PSA 8, had this card well over $1,500, anywhere 15, 17, $1,800, just way over comps. And I asked somebody too, I said, is that really the true price on that? And he goes, he's a goat. Like, he's gonna, we know he's gonna retire, right? So, I wouldn't let it go for any less. I mean, that's kind of what he thought. So I had a guy who came to my table. He saw the card, did the same thing, pulled the phone out, but I know he'd been looking for one for a while because he told me afterwards. So he knew what the comp was. I don't know why he was playing the game with the phone, but then he said, what's the best you can do? And I said, well, you have my price, make me an offer. And he took out his phone, he looked at the comps. He says, well, there was one that sold at 1138. And I said, do you have the Alt app? I said, do the Alt app on there, because I knew it was going to come out at 1198. And he said, yeah, it's 1198. And I said, what's your offer? He said, will you take 12? I said, sure. Done. Easy sale. Sold. Right? I mean, it doesn't get any easier than that. And that's a little bit of a, for me, that's a little bit of a higher end card, right? But it was an easy sale. I acquired that card at a $900 value. So it's a no-brainer for me that I could let that go at 1200. Easy sale. And that's how most of my sales went this weekend. Like, really, that's how they went this weekend. And setting up at these shows over the last year, maybe a little less, with my buddy Rob, sports card therapist, you know, he was just shaking his head. He's like, it's unbelievable, like, all the sales you're getting, like the things that are happening with you at your table. Um, and I feel it. I mean, I know he sees it, but I feel it. And I just think it keeps getting better and better what I'm doing. I just hope that there's, you know, the opportunity to get the cards at the right price, to put them out there at the right price. That's that's really going to be the challenge now. The challenge is not going to be sitting at the table and trying to force feed a sale, right? Or get, money for a card, just saying, look, I'm into it for this much. So if you want it, that's what you have to pay. My challenge now is going to be on the beginning side, is getting them at the right price that I can put them out there for a profit. So, uh, Friday I was solo. Well, I was there with John from Behind the Diamond. He was there as well. He had half our square. on Friday, I had a quarter of the square, and then there was another quarter of the square, which that person didn't show up till Saturday. But then on Saturday, Rob came, and we set up together. We had our 2 tables, we had our lifeguard chairs out. I don't know if I had mentioned he broke down and he ordered one of my lifeguard chairs after making fun of me for so long. So had to show him how to put it all together and get them set up and show them how to relax while you're doing this. And he even said, "This is great. Like you feel so good. It's so comfortable sitting in the chair. Uh, when you stand on your feet all day, it's tough. It takes a lot out of your body, out of your feet, your legs, things like that." Um, and we were just a couple guys, right? Just sitting back in our chairs, chatting it up between customers. It was really kind of a fun day Saturday. It was definitely different than any other show I've been at that we'd been at together. I mean, how often is it you can hang out with your friend all day Saturday, laughing and carrying on at you're at a card show, you're selling cards, you're making money, you're talking about your deal. It was just a great day. Definitely a great day. So overall, East Coast National, I think it could have been better. I don't know why that, and maybe because it was August and it was 90 degrees outside, people were on vacation. Maybe it's a show that you do, in a September, October, November that draws a ton more people, or even in the wintertime. But it definitely, um, the space inside there was right. It was big enough. I don't know if maybe the location change affected affected it. But overall, for me, sales wise, I give it an A plus. I mean, I had a great weekend of sales. Could I have sold more? Probably. If there was a lot more traffic, I probably could. But um, that's the show. I mean, I just think if there were more people there, there were more customers there, it would have been a better day, or a better weekend for most of the dealers. Shout out to Ethan on Instagram at the Card Saber. So he had the Eddie card I talked about last week. I needed one card to complete my set of the Fanatic Zero Cool Stranger Things 4, those promo cards. They were the giveaways at National. It's funny you say it was a giveaway at National. You can't imagine how much it cost me to buy all these cards, but um, he had the Eddie card, and that completed my set of 18. So I now have the whole set of 18, and I'm pretty excited about that. I do know there were 2 people at this show with the cards for sale. One of them knew the value. He had, it was a younger kid. He had 10 of them. And I kept saying, I mean, you're only 8 away. And his dad kept saying, if I thought I could buy the 11, the Millie Bobby Brown card at a reasonable price, I would tell him to keep the set, but I just think it's going to cost a fortune. Again, I know that card is expensive. There's a few other cards that are expensive, and I know Eddie is the other one that's pretty expensive. And there was another guy there that had a couple cards, and he had them way overpriced. And I asked him about it. He said, I have no idea. I had no idea these things were that much money. He said, I had 3 packs that I ripped open. He said, I don't even know where 3 of the cards are. These are the 3 that I know there's 3 more cards somewhere. I don't even know where they are. He goes, I probably threw them in a bag somewhere. I didn't even think they were worth anything. Um, so I think there's a lot of people that probably went to National, especially the kids, because I don't think yeah, I shouldn't say that. I mean, I know a lot of people my age, now that I'm mentioning this, a lot of people say, wow, it's a great show. So I guess I can't say that. But I think a lot of it, I'm hoping maybe a lot of the cards just really got lost or misplaced, or no one ever realized that they were really worth anything. Because there's really, you could say there's a decent amount for sale on eBay, but is there really, compared to, the platform of eBay? There's maybe about 8 or 10 cards up there for sale. So that's not a lot of cards. And there's is 18 cards. And if people are selling those singles, I don't know how many sets are actually going to be made. So I'm hoping my set will, hold some value. So I'm really excited about that. Upcoming shows. Springfield, Mass. That'll be my next show, October 1st and 2nd. The Hofstra show is in Long Island. That's October 16th and 17th. And now I know the Mohegan Sun show, that's been announced November 19th and 20th. So it's interesting that, Springfield, I mean, I know Springfield's always been a one-day show. They're going to do 2 days now. And Mohegan was a 2-day show. I think it was a 1-day the first time, and then last time it was a 2-day show. And I don't know. I know Hofstra is a 2-day show. I did the Hofstra the Hofstra show last April, I think it was. I did the Hofstra show. That was a 2-day show, and they had amazing people signing. And you could on Sunday, because I kept saying, to the family at home, I said, I'm probably going to cut out of there around 2:00, 3:00. I'm going to get out early. I'll get home early on a Sunday. And they had people signing right up to 5:00, and the place was busy right up till 5:00. So I'm hoping the Springfield and the Mohegan show with this extra days that they have enough going on Sunday that it's going to, continue to bring people in. Because the show itself won't be, I don't think it's going to be big enough just alone for 2 days. But if they bring in people that are going to autograph and draw crowds in, I think it could definitely be worth it. But this is what I'm looking forward to, these shows. And I haven't mentioned the last show yet because we haven't gotten any schedule from him on his upcoming shows. So stay tuned for that. But that's it. This will end or complete the Monday episode, and I'll be back here Friday with a new episode for you guys. I want to thank everyone for tuning in, and if you like what you hear, please like, subscribe. Most importantly, tell a friend and spread the word. Until next time, be good to yourselves and everyone around you.